Media, Zionists, Israel, war hawks, they're all using the exact same playbook that they used 22 years ago to drum up war and justify the invasion and destruction of Iraq.
The United States must get involved in this fight in order to protect the United States. God bless America. God bless the United States of Israel. United States of Israel.
You know, the Fox platform is it's so disgraceful. The one theme that runs longitudinally through the history of Fox is the promotion of wars that don't help the United States.
Why is that?
It's the owners are committed to that. And claws really come out at moments like this. You know, most of the time it's fine. But when it really comes down to it, when it's a question of whether U.S. military power will be exerted on behalf of a foreign country thousands of miles from here, they are all in, and anyone who stands in the way will be destroyed.
We've watched for decades propaganda news. I'll call out Fox News and the New York Post. They're known to be the neocon network news. We have propaganda news on our side just like the left does. And the American people have been brainwashed into believing that America has to engage in these foreign wars in order for us to survive. And it's absolutely not true.
Fox News is telling everyone every day they're, moments away from nuclear. We cannot allow Iran to have a nuclear weapon. Day after day after day. Why not just say no?
I think, by the way, that's true. And Iran would agree with that.
You said actually Iran doesn't want a nuclear weapon. They would accuse you immediately of being an agent of Iran.
They might. Because maybe someone would tell them in their little earpiece to say that, because that's how it works.
Take a look at how Western media is covering the current Iran-Israel conflict. When Israel struck Iran, headlines framed it as preemptive or self-defense, echoing Israel's narrative almost word for word, but they rarely acknowledged the attack as unprovoked. Instead, they simply called it a strike or unprecedented, avoiding any suggestion of aggression. Coverage focused on supposed military or nuclear targets, with minimal mention of the dozens of civilians killed. And Israel's claim that Iran's nuclear program is an existential threat was repeated with little to no challenge or nuance. On top of this, Iran's government is consistently referred to as a regime, a loaded term used to paint it as hostile or illegitimate. But when Iran retaliated, the tone was very much different. Reports highlighted Israeli civilian areas being hit, even though casualties were in single digits. Some outlets did use the word retaliatory when referring to Iran's strikes. An improvement from earlier coverage where that framing was missing entirely. Still, the broader trend is clear. Israel's narrative is amplified, whereas Iran's is minimized. And that matters, because media framing shapes how the world understands the conflict, whether it sees an unprovoked act of war by Israel, or a necessary strike against a rogue state. And the danger? If Israel's narrative dominates, it could justify even more violence in the region.
Israel, in 600 days, has bombed Gaza, Syria, Lebanon, Iran, Yemen, and the coast of Malta. Israel is setting the world on fire to protect its genocide.
In breaking news, around 60 people, including 20 children, have been killed in an attack on a housing complex in the capital, Tehran.
Israel has added Iranian children to the long list of children it kills. It also killed civilians, nuclear scientists, and even the person heading Iran's nuclear negotiations, Ali Shamkhani.
Today we sat down with Ali Shamkhani. He said Iran also wants a deal.
Yes, we are ready. We
can definitely have better relations with the U.S.
Shamkhani said that Iran is willing to commit to never having a nuclear weapon, to getting rid of its stockpiles of highly enriched uranium, to only enriching to a level needed for civilian use, and to allow inspectors in to oversee it all, in exchange for lifting all sanctions immediately. He said Iran would accept that deal tonight.
They have said for years, remove our sanctions, normalize relations, stop trying to overthrow us, tell your bulldog Israel to stop threatening us with war, and we can have perfectly normal relations, and we don't want a nuclear weapon.
Forget to mention that Israel has over 200 nuclear warheads, which it does not declare. It's the only state in the Middle East which does so. Israel procured nuclear weapons through the work of Jonathan Pollard, an Israeli spy within the US military, who stole military secrets from the US, particularly on the development of nuclear weapons, and gave them to Israel. It is on the back of that treachery that Israel was able to obtain its nuclear arsenal.
Well, in 2015, after nearly 30 years in prison and extensive efforts to free him, Pollard was granted parole. just under strict conditions. Pollard's parole has since been lifted, and his 5-year ban on travel was also now allowed to go unrenewed, in a move seen by some as a parting gift from the Trump administration.
Israeli nuclear scientist Mordechai Vanunu tried to lift the lid on Israel's nuclear program when he was under the care of the Rupert Murdoch-owned Times newspaper and tell the world about what was happening.
To inform the world about Israel's nuclear secrets.
However, he was swiftly honey-trapped and kidnapped by Israel's external intelligence agency, Mossad.
Another woman came and injected me, and then I lost my conscience.
He was imprisoned for decades, most of it in solitary confinement, and now he is not allowed to leave occupied Palestine or have any communication with quote-unquote foreigners.
All what I want is to be free and to feel freedom, and it could happen only when I leave Israel. To be free is to leave this country and to go abroad. Set me free from Israel.
Israel and its supporters talk about this as a preemptive strike against Iran. But it is Israel that has within its military directorate something called the Samson option, which is justifying the use of nuclear weapons against a target it deems fit. Iran has no such directive.
So what about the story that you hear endlessly that Iran is planning to nuke the United States, that's on their agenda? Huh? Yeah, right. So you consider that like insane?
I consider that so bewildering. If a grown-up says that, we need to have a long heart-to-heart talk.
It has no nuclear weapons.
The IC continues to assess that Iran is not building a nuclear weapon, and Supreme Leader Khamenei has not authorized the nuclear weapons program that he suspended in 2003.
Iran is not pursuing a nuclear weapon, as stated clearly by the U.S. intelligence community. This has been a fabricated lie that Iran is months away from a nuclear bomb since 1982.
The Zionist empire of Israel is expanding. Israel, in 600 days, has bombed Gaza, Syria, Lebanon, Iran, Yemen, and we are now in the process of the Greater Israel Project.
Prime Minister Netanyahu said, I saw on video, he said today that America first is America dead.
It's Tel Aviv, tomorrow it's New York. I understand America first, I don't understand America dead.
And that sounds like a threat to me.
Or did he just threaten us with someone else?
And I completely disagree with him on that. In order for America to not be dead, it's to stay America first. And this is what the American people want. It is not anti-Semitic to say that we do not want to go to war against Iran or any other country. The Middle Eastern war will pull America back 20 years, just like you showed in your intro for your show.
I'm old enough to remember the last time Israel coaxed the United States into a regime change war in the Middle East. Listen to now Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu tell us in 2002 that invading Iraq would be a good choice.
If you take out Saddam's regime, I guarantee you that it will have enormous positive reverberations on the region.
Oh, a guarantee. What is the nature of the guarantee that Netanyahu offered here? Is it a money-back guarantee? Is Israel going to refund the $3 trillion that America spent in Iraq?
It's exactly the lies that we were told after 9/11, and many people know it's not true. So I'm completely opposed to this war. Of course, we don't want to see the people in Israel bombed, but they're only being bombed because Israel attacked Iran first. And that's the truth that we need to be talking about. And Matt, I want to add on one more thing that I think is incredibly important, because Fox News and all these other news stations are not talking about it. Last week on Thursday, they held a vote in the Knesset, and Netanyahu only won by 2 votes, because the polling is showing that if an election was held today, he would lose.
Where are we heading? Alex Karp of CIA firm Palantir, which has been essential to Israel's genocide in Gaza.
I'm super proud of our stuff on the battlefield, and to kill our enemies and scare them because they know they will be killed.
The United States must get involved in this fight in order to protect the United States. God bless America. God bless the United States of Israel. United States of Israel.